are a management consultant. We work with the Indian Army, we work with DRDO, a lot of defense manufacturers, and then we work with startups, agri-tech companies. So the definition of alignment for everybody is different, you know, and within the Indian Army also, So for instance, you're talking at the unit level or on the front, obviously everybody has to be aligned. If I'm going to bombard, create the ground ready, then my infantry goes in, and then so those steps, their timing is very important. Alignment, right from the Air Force to the Navy to the infantry to the artillery, everybody has to be aligned. There are no two ways about it. But now we work in R&D space with the EME, which is now tasked to do a lot of defense innovation, thanks to this Operation Sindoor and the kind of work on anti-drone that is required by all the countries to kind of work on. They're completely flexible. I mean, you can't imagine how Army is thinking today. They break the convention, and for them, speed is more important.
I think, Rekha, I agree with you, because we even in day-to-day, AI has become such a used word these days. ChatGPT was the first to come. It's not that others were not working behind it, correct? But there was a push of going earlier in the market. And then when DeepSeek came, they tried to shatter, we knew how NVIDIA and all went down. But then very soon, everybody picked up what DeepSeek gave and then put it into their model, correct? So whether it's Aladdin, so if you look it around, in my opinion, going first is a win. Also, looking around as to what the competitors bring value, and then quickly readjusting is the mantra for success for any company.
Yeah. Right. So what I'm hearing, and maybe I want to invite a little bit of dissent here, speed still remains the key driver for alignment to follow. Is that
no? So again, I think, and what ma'am said was right, that whenever there is chaos, there is pain in the organization. But then the minute you give speed priority, there are going to be pain in the organization, because
you're going to amplify the pain, is it?
Yeah, but it's not necessarily bad pain. I think so long as you're meeting your end objective as of being like the first to launch,
right.
And again, like you say, best is the enemy of good, right? You don't need to be 100% perfect.
Right.
Everybody is running, and there are going to be conflicts, there are going to be disagreements, but eventually the objective is that we need to be the first to launch.
Right.
And in that, there is going to be a lot of pain. The organization will always go through pain when it's trying to grow fast or when it's trying to do something different from the norm.
Damage.
Acceptable.
But first to launch is typically more a startup thought. You're an entrepreneur, right? It's a startup mindset. When you're talking large companies, big companies, their objective may not be the first to launch. But at the same time, you have to remember they have huge. I'm talking more IT, right? So they have huge products, right? If you have a huge product, if you want to scramble and churn out something new, you might break hundreds of other things, which you cannot risk. And therefore, you have to, do it, very, very process-oriented manner, because even a single line of, code change can actually break a lot of systems. So IT giants have to move slowly. I mean, they do not have a choice there.
So in IT language, so I agree with what she's saying, but in IT terms, if, for instance, a code or a program has to be written to get a result on at the end. If I'm deploying, say, 5 resources, I would deploy as an entrepreneur at the business level. I would say instead of 5, I'll put 50 resources.
Let me add here again, the size of the organization matters for various reasons. If it's, the discussion between who is, should we be a first mover or a fast follower? First mover or fast followers, the entrepreneurs and the size of the organization comes into the picture. When the organizations are small, they should actually choose to chase and be the first movers. If you're larger organizations, and we're talking about very, very big organizations where the scale of employees is pretty huge, they have the financial capital to take over. So even if they take a moment of step back to just see how it works out, how the first movers market works out, and if they are testing waters, and if the large organizations decide to take a step back and see how it works out, they do have the financial backing to go ahead and follow the trend and pick up the trend. That is one way of looking at it. Yes. When do larger organizations really fail is when they have, I think I call illusion of invulnerability, that they can actually not go wrong. Or probably they think that they're already at the top of the race and nothing can beat that. That's when the big organizations fail. So as long as the pace and speed is concerned, smaller organizations or the entrepreneurial startups should actually be the one making the move faster and create the market, while the larger organizations, the size, when we are talking in terms of size of organization, they can take a moment back and see whether test the waters and then.
Sure. In fact, I'll tell you, I worked for a telecom company which never had a first mover advantages. They were always last. They entered the market last and they captured the market the most. What's different is, as they say, innovation is the cornerstone when you kind of get into the. So they learn from others' mistake as to what should be avoided. And I think, again, and it could be quite contradictory, but the fact is today, if there is a biggest war chest and who's successful, alignment, clearly, last mover advantage went up against opposite of what we call it as speed. They decide what to launch when and how do you define the market for them. So having said that, it was, of course, depends on how regulated that industry is, right? Because had it been an open industry, because telecom, you'll see, is a very regulated, so there is a lot of to-dos and not to-dos sort of a thing. So hence, I again go back on what you said. It's very contextual to industry, to the process, to the department, and that's how the whole framework may kind of.
There's a saying which is, they say, ahead of its time. So any product, if it's launched ahead of its time. So, I mean, I'll give you an example. I worked with the Hero Group. I was in their bicycle business. I was president and CEO of their business. They launched Honda. No, sorry, they launched the BMW motorcycles, the distribution of BMW motorcycles in India way back in, I think, 1990, 98. Pankaj Munjali was very ambitious. He got on BMW to India. It failed miserably. The product was good. Everything was okay. It just was ahead of its time. So telecom in India launched at 16 rupees 80 paisa, 8 rupees 40 paisa and 4 rupees 20 paisa. Okay. Now, those
24 rupees.
No, 24 nahi tha. 1680, 840 and 420. I was operations head of multiple telecom companies. I made their billing system, so I mean I know the pricing very well. So what happened is, those pricings. So the advantage, they invested a lot in capex and they were charging in dollars. So for them, they were spending money also in dollars. The entire capex which was invested at that point in time was imported equipment. India never made that kind of equipment. Over a period of time, a lot of indigenization has happened, and so the same equipment which was, say, for instance, installed for 10,000 rupees were getting installed at 500 rupees now. So that was the kind of difference, in terms of investment in that. Therefore, Reliance was more successful in the second avatar than its first avatar. Infocoms say, if you see, Jio was far more successful, largely because the investment that they made was far lesser than the original company, because that investment was aligned with the earlier players' investment. So whatever, they had the advantage of writing off those expenses, closing that company. But it's ahead of its time, जो concept है, वो जब होता है, and then you are a first mover, you may burn up your cash. You will not have money to sustain, and therefore there could be. But first mover advantage is always there.